Shavua Tov, everyone. So this is what happens if you eat too much rice on Pesach. You have to come and you have to be here Motzi Shabbat at midnight already to be able to say Selichot. By the Ashkenazim, we don't start already for another couple of weeks because we don't eat rice on Pesach. We don't go swimming during the 9 days. We don't take haircuts. We don't eat meat. So we have less that we have to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu Slicha, Mechila v'Kapara. Okay, please don't take it personally, please. I see there's a very sensitive crowd tonight. I want to share with you something from this week's Parsha that at first is going to seem unrelated at all to the time of Elul, to the Slichot, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to Tshuva. But just bear with me for a little while, and I think Bezat Hashem will see, hopefully, a very important message to keep in mind for the next few weeks until it's going to be the Yom Adin Rosh Hashanah. There's a mitzvah from this week's Parsha that every Kala that stands under the chuppah, she thinks is the greatest mitzvah in the entire world. And that same mitzvah, every Chatan that is standing under the chuppah, for him it is the biggest nightmare in the world. What is the mitzvah? It says in the Torah Kedoshah this week the following words. It says that Ki yikach ish isha chadasha, when a man takes a wife, a new wife, lo yetze batzava, he cannot go out to the army. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't bring them provisions. He doesn't get involved in the fundraising. He doesn't make sure that there's ammunition. Nothing at all. Rather, he stays in his home for 1 full year. V'simach et ishto asher lokach. Why does he stay home? To make his wife happy. He doesn't go out to war. He's not a medic. He doesn't take care of any of the soldiers. He doesn't take care of provisions, nothing. He does one thing. He stays home the entire year to make sure, Vasimach et ishto, to make his wife happy. How does this man, by staying home, make his wife happy? Many of you, when you stay home, you drive your wife crazy. So why is it that if a husband in the first year of marriage stays home, the Torah says it's the way that he's going to make his wife besimcha, the way that he's going to make her happy? How does that work? What is the mitzvah that he has to do? So the Sefer HaChinuch writes over here a beautiful idea. And he says, you know why a husband has to stay home the entire first year of marriage, not go out to the war, not go out to work, not go on vacations, not go to the old men's camping trips somewhere in the Bahamas, nothing like that. Why does he have to stay home? Because when he stays home, he gets to know his wife. He gets to understand his wife. He knows what she likes and what she doesn't like. He knows what makes her happy and what makes her sad. He gets to know the look on her face when she's very emotional, and he knows the look on her face when she's very happy. He only gets to know what she looks like. He knows her hair, he knows her eyes, he knows her clothing, and that's the only thing in the world that looks beautiful and looks nice to him. Says the Sefer HaChinuch, if a husband will stay home for an entire year, and he will dedicate himself to his wife, so that he will become absorbed in who his wife is, so that he will know her better than anybody else in the world knows her, so that he will look at her and he will think, my wife is the most beautiful woman in the entire world. Nobody else. I could walk down the streets of Pico Robertson on a Tuesday afternoon, a hot day, and many of the women are walking down the street and they forgot to get dressed in the morning before they walked out of the house. But I myself am thinking about one person. I'm thinking only about my wife. So I don't see the woman on the right, I don't see the woman on the left, I don't see the woman in my phone, nothing. All day long I'm thinking only about my wife, because she is the one that is the most important. As my Chatan teacher told me, the Sefer HaChinuch is saying you must become obsessed with your wife. Nobody else in the world matters to you. And that means, do you know your wife's favorite flowers? When you go to the store, do you just buy what's on sale from 3 days ago and wilting? Or do you know, my wife, she likes tulips. My wife, she likes roses. My wife, she likes carnations. Do you buy her what she likes? Well, you have to know what she likes. Do you know what your wife's favorite vitamin water drink is? Is it the blue one? Is it the pink one? Is it the yellow one? Is it zero? Do you know? If you don't know, how are you going to bring her the drink that she likes? And where does she like to go on vacation? San Diego is good enough? No. Cancun is optional? Is that what it is? Hawaii is okay? Do you know what she likes? A husband who stays home the entire first year of marriage with his wife, and he sees her, and he understands her, and he gets to know her, so that he is the one that will fulfill this great mitzvah of making his wife happy. Because if you don't understand your wife, and you don't know what she likes, and you don't know what she doesn't like, you don't know the jokes that offend her, you don't know the conversations that she can't stand, you don't know the divrei Torah that is too serious and the one that she enjoys, if you don't understand your wife, you will never, ever make her happy. You can give her a brand new BMW. You can get her a brand new house. You can give her the credit card and tell her, go to Nordstrom's, not even Nordstrom Rack, go to Nordstrom regular and shop till you drop. I don't care, whatever you want. But if you don't understand your wife, and you don't know who she is, and you don't appreciate who that person is that you stood under the chuppah with, you can give and give and give and give and give, and you will never, ever make your wife happy. The Torah says there's a mitzvah. It's not a nice thing. You think being a good husband is a nice thing? Well, if I know how to make my wife happy, it's a nice thing. If I don't get angry, it's a nice thing. If I'm warm and I'm generous and I'm kind and I'm bal chesed, it's a nice thing. She smiles, it's a nice thing. No. Mitzvah. It's a mitzvah in the Torah that a person has to make sure that you know your wife so well that you are always making her happy. I once had a couple that came to my office to see me. It was not the greatest shidduch in the world. The husband was an Israeli Baal Tshuva, Breslov Nachman, and the wife was an American Balis Tshuva who went to like some UC school by the beach, and they were like living in two different worlds altogether. They came to see me, they were having Shalom Bayit problems. What were the problems? They sit down and the wife begins crying right away. That's how it usually works. The wife starts crying right away. And the husband is sitting there, he's shuckling, he's going back and forth, and he's smiling. And the woman is crying her eyes out. And she's saying, he doesn't love me. He doesn't care about me. And she's crying and crying and crying. And the husband is just going, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. And I said to him, why are you saying Baruch Hashem? Your wife is crying. Why are you saying Baruch Hashem? And then he told me again, Baruch Hashem. Okay, I don't know what he's saying Baruch Hashem for. Though I said to the wife, tell me, how do you know that your husband doesn't love you? And she says, because I asked my husband to take me on a date. I ask him to take me out to a restaurant. I ask him to spend time with me, and he doesn't do any of that. So I turned to the husband, who's still like this, and he's saying, Baruch Hashem, with a big smile on his face. And I said, did you hear what your wife said? He said, yes. I said, is it true? He said, no. And he turns to his wife and says, why did you tell the rabbi? I just took you out last night for dinner. So she turns to him and she says, you took me to a pizza shop with our children. That is not taking me out to dinner. I want Le Carve, I want Pat's, Olive Shalom, I want all the best restaurants. A pizza with my children, that's not called a date. If you don't understand your wife, if you don't know who she is, you'll never be able to give her what she wants. You'll never make her happy. What does this have to do with Elul? I'm just giving a shir on Shalom Bayit. Not a bad idea that every husband should be mechazek during Elul. The great Mikubal, Rav Chaim Vital, says that the first judgment that a man is going to receive in Shemayim, when he leaves this world after 120 years, the first thing he will be judged on is, how did he treat his wife? All the wives are leaning over right now from Nezat Nashim to make sure that the husbands are listening. And all the men are in shock. Do you understand what that means? Every conversation, every time you raised your voice, every time you raised... No, chas v'shalom, nobody would ever do such a thing in this room. Every time you forgot your anniversary and her birthday, you didn't take out the trash, every time a husband is going to be judged. So you know what? To be mechazek during the month of Elul in Shalom Bayit, not a bad idea, but that's not what I'm talking about tonight. There's another relationship that all of us have in this world. And it's probably the most important relationship that anybody has. And that is the relationship between us and the Ribbono Shel Olam, between us and Hashem. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to know during the month of Elul, how much do you love me, says Hashem. How much do you care about me, says Hashem. How much are you trying to make me happy, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How many mitzvot are you doing? How much Torah are you learning? How many tefillot are you going to? How many times are you overcoming the challenge of your bad midot? How much? Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order for me to know if you love me or you don't love me, I have to see that you know me. And I have to see that you appreciate me. And I have to see, just like the Sefer HaChinuch says, that you must be obsessed with your wife, I have to know that you are obsessed with me, says Hashem. I have to know that the only one that is on your mind is me. What does that mean? That means when you're at work and there's somebody that's playing games with the insurance, or someone that is, I worked once, I have Chatasi Masker Ayoim. When I was a young teenager, I worked in a store one time, and the boss was a non-Jew, not religious, nothing. So one day he gave me a class on the new cash register, how to shave money off the register. You know what that means? And nobody would know because you're so honest. It means somebody comes to the store and you ring them up and you take their money and you give them the change and then you put money in your pocket. Why? Because you found a way to play around with the cash register. This was a thing that the boss is going to give to his employee. That's how you're going to learn how to be in this business. So business, not easy to be honest. Your marriage, not easy to be a good husband or a good wife. When it comes to davening, it's hard to get to shul every time. We're very, very busy all the time. When Mariv comes, we're so busy. We're too busy to get off of our couch or imagine a guy gets in his car, he drives all the way to the shul, and he looks at his watch, he says, you know what, I have 33 seconds before they say Baruch Hu. Let me just see one little thing on TikTok over here and see. And the next thing you know, 3 hours later, he missed the last minyan at Shuvah Yisrael. There's no minyanim left. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to know, are you obsessed with me? Are you thinking about me all the time? Am I in your office? Am I in your car? Am I in your mind? Am I in your heart? And where am I? You're going to come and stand on Rosh Hashanah, you're going to ask, Zachreinu l'chaim, please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, remember me for life. I want to live another year of life. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to give you another year of life, but I want to give a year of life to the people that appreciate me and love me and care about me and they think about me. What does it mean to be obsessed with Hashem? You all know the famous Chacham Avadia Zecher Tzadik Livracha. He was once in the middle of learning something and writing down a tshuva, writing down answers, and his heart began to hurt. And the next thing he knows, he's having a heart attack. And they call out Salah and they rush Rabbi Avadia to the hospital. And they start running all the tests on him and they see he has a heart attack. He needs emergency surgery. And he turns to his son who is next to him and he says, tell the doctor I need to go home first. And he said, Abba, you're having a heart attack. You need to have surgery. And he said, tell the hospital I need to go home first and then I will come back for the surgery. He said, Abba, you can't leave the hospital. You're having a heart attack. He said, I need to go home now. I was in the middle of writing a tshuva, writing a halacha, an answer. There's a woman that is an aguna. You know what aguna is? Rahmana litzlan, a woman that cannot get married because either her husband disappeared, her husband doesn't give her a get, some terrible thing. And I'm the one that's writing the reason why she is allowed to go and get married. And he said to his son, what happens if when they're doing the surgery, I die on the operating table? You know what's going to happen? This woman will never, ever be able to get married. He said, please do me a favor. Take me home. Let me finish writing the tshuva. Bring me back and I'll have the surgery. So the son told the doctors what has to go on. They say, we're not taking any responsibility. If he dies at home, he dies. He said, no problem. I'll take responsibility. He went home with a heart attack. He writes the tshuva, comes back, and he has the surgery. This is a person who is obsessed, who is absorbed, who is thinking all of the time about one thing, the Ribono Shel Olam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Melech Chafetz B'Chaim. He is the king who desires life. But what is life for? Life is to serve Hashem. And anyone that spends the next month of their life, Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Aseret Yemei Tshuva, and Yom Kippur, proving to the Ribono Shel Olam that I love you, Hashem. There's nobody else on my mind besides you. And the reason that I want to have another year of life is that I can serve you even more. That's the person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, of course, I'm going to give you another year of life. I assume everybody in this room, if you left your house at midnight, you didn't come just for the formaggio pizza, I'm sure. I'm sure that if you came, you didn't come just for the musician and the inspiring music. I assume that if you left your house so late at night, you came because you truly desire another year of life. The only way you're going to get it is if you prove to Hashem during this time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I love you, I think about you all the time, and I want nothing else to get in the way between me and you. There's a pasuk that we say every day in the Dovid. the special prayer that we say during the month of Elul, all the way up until Simchat Torah. Listen to the words of this verse. It says like this: Lecha Omar Libi, to you, on your behalf, Hashem, Omar Libi, my heart says. So my heart is speaking on behalf of Hashem. Bakshu Fanai, what does Hashem say? Seek my presence. Et panecha Hashem avakesh, and then I say, Hashem, I seek your presence. Listen to the words of the pasuk. Lecha Omar Libi, my heart will say what you want to say, Hashem. And what is that? Bakshu Pana, I want you to be close to me. And then I will tell you, Hashem, I want to be close to you. So I understand if HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and He says, I want you to be close to me. I understand if HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you to be near me. But how does my heart tell over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to say? I don't tell Hashem what to say. Hashem says what He wants to say. Because it's the same idea. If you become so absorbed with the Ribbono Shel Olam, you become so one with Hashem, that the only one that you're thinking about all the time is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, your heart is able to speak the words of the Ribbono Shel Olam. Your mind, your soul is etched, engraved with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's messages and His wants and His desires just for you. And then a person is able to truly get closer to Hashem. And then they are zeicha, then they will merit that when you ask Hashem for another year of life, when you ask Him for salicha tonight, He's going to give you slicha. Because He sees you care about Him. You love Him the same way that a husband has to stay home to love his wife. We spend this month of Elul so that we can show our love to Hashem. I want to tell you a story before I conclude. I took a vacation with my family this past summer. We went to Texas. Anybody ever been to Texas before? Oh, one person. Very good. So maybe one person will appreciate the story. In Texas, there's a rule. There's an unspoken rule. Everybody in Texas is a goy. Okay? Everybody is not Jewish. There's nobody, unless you see somebody with a kippah on their head, every single cowboy with his hat and his boots and everything, and they're all not Jewish. Happens to be that in Texas, they love the Jews. We were by some place, and there was an older man there, and he sees with the yarmulke and the tzitzis, and he says, "Y'all Jews?" He said, "Yeah." They said, "Wow, we love the Jews. Wow." And he said, "Let me call my wife. Tammy, come here. These are Jews. Look at these Jews." And they started asking me, "Rabbi, you speaking at all in Texas? We would love to come and hear you speak. We love the Jews." I was in a museum, and a black guy came over to me. And he says, "Shalom." And I said, "Shalom." And he says, "You know, my wife is Ashkenazi." I said, "I'm sorry to hear that." Oh, you're awake. Unbelievable. And his wife comes over, and she's white as the walls in this room. And she says, "I did one of those ancestry tests, and I found out I have 73% Ashkenazi blood in my body." I said, "Okay, fine." And then the guy gets very serious, this black fellow. He says, "But you know what? The only reason I have any faith in God is because of you, because of the Jews." So remember, in Texas, they like the Jews, but there's no Jews besides the ones that are Jewish. Everybody else, I'm telling you, everybody else looks like a non-Jew. We went to a place called the Stockyards in Fort Worth, Texas. And this place is where they have rodeos throughout the year. To my good fortune, they had no rodeos the week that I was there, Baruch Hashem. And they have a petting zoo. And we go to the petting zoo, And to get in, you have to pay a small fee. And if you want to buy the food to feed the animals, so you have to buy the food as well. So there's a nice fellow sitting in the front, manning the desk. And he's wearing the complete Texan attire, all of the outfit, which is covered from head to toe in tattoos. There was not an inch of the guy's skin that was not covered in tattoos. He had some like snake wrapped around his arm, some other stuff that we won't speak about inside of a Beit HaKnesset. He was covered in tattoos. But he was a very nice guy. And we were schmoozing and we're talking. Where you from? Los Angeles. Oh, yeah, oh, fine, yeah, we go back and forth. And then we buy all the food to feed the animals. The guy's name is Hayden. I didn't even know where that name comes from. And we decide we're going to go in and feed the animals. Now, the animals in this particular petting zoo were very, very aggressive. They were behind the fence. There were these goats and sheep, and there was even a cow. And the goats kept jumping up on the fence and trying to like attack me and my son who were trying to feed them. And so we keep giving and pushing away, giving, pulling back. Suddenly Hayden, the man covered from head to toe in tattoos, he comes walking over because he sees that these animals are like trying to eat us as well. And he says to us, "Watch out for your tzitzis." I said, "What?" "Watch out for your tzitzis. They're going to eat your tzitzis. Watch out." So I said, "Tzitzis?" I said, "How do you know about tzitzis?" So at this point, the only part of his body that was not yet exposed, he decided to expose to me. And he pulls up his shirt like this. And he has in his side, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, gigantic, tattooed across his body. And he says, "I'm Jewish." Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's terrible, a tattoo, Issa Deraita, he did a terrible thing. You don't understand. This is a man that lives in Fort Worth, Texas. He doesn't know Shabbos from Yom Tiv, from a weekday, from kosher, nothing. But this guy that's so far away, what did he decide to do? He tattooed the name of Hashem into his body forever and ever and ever because he knows there is a Ribono Shel Olam. Rabotai, we do not need to etch the name of Hashem into our bodies. I don't want everyone to leave here tonight and say, "You know what, I need the tattoo of Hashem's name." Don't do that. You etch the name of Hashem into your heart. You etch the name of Hashem into your mind. You tattoo the name of HaKadosh Baruch into your neshama. And you show the Ribono Shel Olam, HaKadosh Baruch, I'm obsessed with you. I love you, Hashem. I think about you all the time. And a person who decides to live their life like that during the month of Elul, which is just preparation for the holy days of Rosh Hashanah. And in Rosh Hashanah, we mamlich HaKadosh Baruch, we make him the king over ourselves and the universe. And then we do tshuva, and then we have Yom Kippur, we ask again and again, "Forgive me, Hashem, I'll be better this year." That's a person that when you ask, "Zachrenu l'chaim," please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me life, Hashem says, "How can I not? You left your house on a Motzi Shabbat, and you came to a shul to hear a drasha, to sing Sechlichot, to ask Hashem forgiveness. You were driving down the street, and there was something you could have looked at on the right, and you said, 'No, I'm not going to look because I'm thinking about Hashem.' You were in the middle of some kind of a business deal, and you found a way that you could undercut the competitor and make a lot of money and cause him a loss, and you decide, 'You know what, I won't do that.' You're in your house together with your wife. You're about to get angry and yell. And you close your mouth and you remain calm. And you conquer your bad midot. That is the person who shows HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, I'm here in this world for you. May we be Zoiche B'ezrat Hashem, that we spend the next few weeks of our life wisely, and we find ways again and again and again to prove to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not that I have to tattoo His name into my body, but rather, Hashem, I've tattooed your name into my mind. I only think about you. And if we do that, B'ezrat Hashem, then everybody here and all of your families, all of your love and Klal Yisrael will be zocher to a Shana Tova, a year that is so good and metukah and so sweet and so filled with brachot and yeshuot unechamot, panasat tova. I always love the Sfardim, always answer amen to that one the loudest. Shidduchim, louder, yeah. Briot, health, babies, Bezrat Hashem, nachat from your children, shalom bayit between husbands and wife. And Bezrat Hashem, with all of that, we should all be zocher to Shana Tova umetuka akesiva lechatima tova.